So you guys remember the Atari VCS console that I covered on this channel? It looks like we finally got the official details of how much this is going to cost and when you'll be able to buy this and where you'll be able to buy this. And honestly, I'm just looking at this list right here of the upcoming Atari VCS, and honestly, from what I'm seeing, this thing is just a pure crap ripoff, and honestly, I'm recommending no one to actually buy this console. This console just flat out does not make sense. As me as a gamer who is enthusiastic about gaming, who is passionate about gaming and things like this, I can wholeheartedly recommend to stay away from this thing. It's pretty much a scam, and there is no way in hell you should be buying this thing. You're pretty much getting ripped off, and you're pretty much getting screwed when it comes to the upcoming Atari VCS. So let's go ahead and discuss the upcoming Atari VCS. Now it looks like in America you are going to be able to pre-order this as of right now at two places, GameStop and Walmart, if you want to pre-order this thing for yourself. And it looks like they're going to have a whole bunch of different variations when it comes to pre-ordering it, and this thing just looks like it's a complicated mess. Why do they have so many versions of the Atari VCS on day one? It just makes everything complicated. But anyway, let's go ahead and go over all the different types of Atari VCS systems you can actually pre-order from Atari right now. It looks like the Atari VCS 800 all-in, it's going to be $389. Keep that price in mind, $389, and it's going to include a joystick and a controller according to this website, according to the Verge. So keep that in mind as well. And then they're also going to have another version of this. If you want to buy the Atari VCS without the joystick and the controller, it is going to cost you $279, so it's not going to be $389. So you can see the controllers for this thing definitely add a hefty price tag on it. And if you're going to be playing this thing, of course, you're going to need some type of controller, some type of joystick when it comes to the Atari VCS, so you might as well spend the $389 anyway if you were going to play this anyway. It is going to come with the traditional Atari joystick. You guys remember from back in the day, the Atari original joystick has pretty much one stick on it and one button on it, and that's pretty much how you play your games. And then of course they will have a traditional controller that looks more like a traditional Xbox One controller, PS4 controller, and that's pretty much what you're going to be getting if you buy the Atari VCS all-in. And then the Atari VCS, like I said, without any controllers is $279, but like I said, you're going to need to buy controllers anyway, so you might as well buy that bundle if you ask me, unless you don't need both versions of the controller. You don't need the joystick from the Atari, and you don't need the PS4/Xbox One version of the controller. You may actually want to buy the Atari VCS 800 without any controllers, and then choose which controller you want in the end. And they do state that there is going to be two different versions. One's going to have 8 gig of RAM, and one's going to have 4 gig of RAM. That's pretty much the difference. So pretty much you're chopping the RAM in half when it comes to buying this thing. So there's Atari VCS 800, and there's an Atari VCS 400. Those are the two models that are coming out on the market. It's just that they have the Atari VCS all-in if you just want controllers included. Yes, all this does really sound confusing and really is a mess. And then you can also buy the Atari Classic joystick, the one joystick, for $49 separately. And then you can also buy the Atari Modern controller for $60. So $60 for a modern controller doesn't really seem too bad, but it's really confusing how they have an 800 VCS and a 400 VCS. Overall, it just really does not make sense. Now, they did promise when the Atari VCS does come out, you are going to be guaranteed to actually get old school Atari games that you remember playing if you ever played the original Atari. But here's the thing with that, those games are just flat out, you can get those anywhere else. So paying things like $279, $249 plus the controllers, which is going to be well over $300 for this whole setup. Honestly, this really does seem like a flat-out rip-off from Atari, and Atari really doesn't seem like they know what they're doing when it comes to video games and when it comes to their hardware, when it comes to gamers and everything like this. Why are you actually buying this thing? And that's the biggest problem I have with the upcoming Atari VCS. The Atari VCS really does seem like it's, for the most part, going to be a rip-off for anybody, and nobody should be buying this. You do have to realize if you were to buy everything for this console, to get this console up and running, it is going to be over $300, and at that point, of course, you can buy a modern-day system. You can buy a Nintendo Switch, a PS4, an Xbox One, and then you're already, with the controller and everything, you're getting really close to the PS4 Pro price tag when it comes to the Atari VCS 800. So honestly, I just do not know why you would buy this thing. And then you do also have to realize they did not announce any games for this thing, and they don't have any established franchises. So what are you going to be be playing on the Atari VCS when this thing actually comes out. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think they're honestly going to deliver anything to the gamer. Yes, they keep claiming you can get these free to old school Atari games, but you can get those freaking anywhere. You can even emulate them on a computer if you were desperate, or you can get these collections that they've had for years on things like the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, the Xbox One, and they also make a line of plug-and-play systems, if you didn't know, for the original Atari hardware. So what is the point? That's not a good incentive to get people to buy your system just because you have these old Atari properties on your actual system. It's like a slap in the face to gamers, and they didn't actually announce any upcoming games for this. So this thing is absolutely nutty and absolutely a scam from Atari. What is Atari think they're actually doing when it comes to the upcoming Atari system? And why do they actually have 2 SKUs of the actual Atari? Does that mean certain games are going to run on the 8 gig of RAM one, the VCS 800, and does that also mean that if you buy the Atari VCS 400 one, does that mean since the RAM's chopped in half, certain games will only play on certain models of the Atari VCS? It just seems really complicated to why. Also, why would they actually split the Atari VC up into 2 different models, an 800 and a 400? Honestly, this whole thing just boggles my mind, and it really does seem like they're really going to screw over their consumers, and this thing just is priced wrong. And then you also have to take in consideration the specs of this thing actually already leaked out. I didn't find it on this website, but I did hear that this thing is going to be way less underpowered or less powerful than even a base Xbox One and a base PS4 that's been on the market since 2013. So overall, you can see this is a big giant ripoff. And why do you think gamers are going to be buying this in 2020 or even late 2019, whenever this thing is supposed to be coming out? Why would you actually buy this thing? Because you do have to realize the next generation of hardware is coming on holiday 2020. Sure, Sony didn't actually announce the release date of the upcoming PS5 at this very moment while I'm recording this video, but you do have to realize most likely it's going to be around the time that Microsoft actually releases the next upcoming Xbox in holiday 2020, and by that point there's no point of buying this. Actually, at this very moment as well, there is no point of even buying this altogether, because we don't know the type of games on this. The games are going to be disappointed. It's just too expensive for what it is. Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo already have established franchises. I just honestly don't understand this whole situation. It really does seem like Atari is out to scam people with this thing, and when you buy this thing, you're pretty much getting screwed over from Atari, and it's probably going to be a big flop, kind of like the Ouya. Just please do not buy this thing for the love of God. I just cannot justify the price for this thing. I just cannot flat out recommend this to anybody on planet Earth. It just seems like it's a bad deal. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.